Hello. Um, funny thing. Um, when I was a kid, I used to watch My Little Pony, lots of different My Little Pony, but specifically, um, Friendship is Magic Generation 4. And I stopped watching or keeping up with it, I guess around, season 6, it seems, because I've been rewatching it, and, um, I don't know anything that's happening after that point. I kind of figured that the whole Cadence having a kid and the Starlight Glimmer or whatever her name is, I thought that happened near the end of the series, but that was just because I stopped watching it around that point, so I was wrong. Um, so after rewatching it, I have a lot of random, or not, I haven't finished rewatching it, but so far I'm up to like the end of season 6, and I have a lot of thoughts. One of them being about the donkeys and the mules, um, and why they draw them purposefully so, for lack of a better word, ugly. Like, they do their legs all weird, and their nose and their eyes and everything about them, they just make them purposefully look really not good. Um, which is confusing and it doesn't really make sense because donkeys don't look that different compared to horses, at least not in the ways they're making it. Their legs don't look like that. They're not that bony and they look really similar to ponies. But instead of making them distinct in a way that's makes the donkeys still look cute, because donkeys are quite cute animals, they just make them look ugly. And Rarity, in like season 1 or 2, can't really remember, she calls mules, which is the mix between a horse and a donkey, she calls them ugly. Like one of the jewel digger dogs, I don't know their name, their species name, but one of them calls her a mule, and then she's like, but mules are ugly, which is, there are mules and donkeys living in her in Ponyville. It and at some point, Rainbow Dash is like, "Be there or be mule," or something. And I'm just like, okay, man. It just doesn't really make sense because donkeys' nostrils don't flare out like that, and their legs aren't, you know, you know. Yeah, they're very cute, and I think they go out of their way to make a lot of the other animals that aren't ponies look not good, which is a problem because they use animals that aren't ponies to represent different races. Like in the episode where they try to explain the colonization of America, which mind you was an awful episode. When they do that episode, they use buffaloes to represent Native Americans, which I don't I don't know, it doesn't really, personally, I don't really like that, mainly because it sort of implies, same with like Sakura, how Sakura is supposed to, like, there's the episode about racism against Sakura. It just sort of implies that all of the ponies are white, which is, I don't I don't really like that because it's kind of like, well, if you are not white, then you are not a pony. If you are Native American, well, you're this ugly ass buffalo thing. You can't be a colorful pony. You're a zebra. And there's nothing wrong with zebras, but they're not that colorful looking, I'll tell you that. And also, Zakura's entire thing, like, the way she speaks and the potions that she practices, it doesn't. The fact that that's the only zebra in the entire thing, and they're implied to represent black people, it, it I don't know. I don't really, doesn't really sit right with me personally. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't like how in the colonization of America episode they basically try to make it seem like the settlers, quote unquote, or the colonizers, they didn't understand that they were hurting people and that it was like just a misunderstanding, because it definitely wasn't. You know, if you're not ready to talk about how awful the situation was and the fact that harm was done, you shouldn't make a kids episode about it. You know, it's just a little iffy. Um, so yeah, that's something I definitely do not like after watching a lot of this. Um, and oh, yes. Something that I have been thinking about is the fact that there are no male alicorns. And I get, like, the whole princess things, you know, only alicorns are princesses, or only princesses are alicorns. Um, but Shining Armor is a prince. He is a prince. He married. I know he married into royalty, but he still is a prince. And no alicorn is born an alicorn until Flurry Heart. So it would only make sense for when he's made a royal, just like his wife and his sister, to also be made an alicorn. Because he is a prince, he watches over the Crystal Empire with his wife. It's sort of unfair not to make him an alicorn too. Also, I don't see him invited to any of the royal meetings at all. Which is also really weird because he is, once again, a royal. Um, it's just a little weird. And I understand that he's married to Cadence, who is the Princess of Love or whatever, and if he was made alicorn for marrying her, because that would make him the Prince of Love, that would mean that there are two alicorns with the same element, which isn't really something that we see and wouldn't really make sense. But the other thing is that it is the princess and prince of love. For things like the sun and the moon and friendship and whatever, you know, it makes sense for there to only be one. But for love, the entire point of love is between two or more people to reciprocate and, you know, love each other and be equal to each other and share responsibilities and, you know, be able to rely on each other. So it would make sense for the prince of love, the princess of love, to share their duties equally, like the whole love duty, whatever that entails, the love duty, for them to both be alicorns and both handle that. I don't know why they don't. I mean, I guess it's probably because, you know, it's a kids' show mainly aimed towards girls. It wouldn't really make sense for something that's been portrayed for only princesses during the entire thing to be given to a guy. But I just think it would, realistically, he should have been made an alicorn. Make male alicorns 2021. Uh, oh yeah, something else I've been thinking about is why do Pegasi need magic to fly? Because I understand that they can stand on clouds, which would probably need magic, but that doesn't explain why they need magic to fly. I have a bird, which you might have heard screaming. And he's able to fly without magic. He's got the same wings as, you know, as a Pegasus would. And the way they lift off is by catching the wind underneath the feathers. Which is what the purpose of wings are. So if a Pegasus can't fly without magic, what's the point of their wings? Unless maybe the wings produce the magic, but that also wouldn't make sense. Because if Pegasi are just able to fly with their wings and all that, then they would probably just have, hollow bones. Like a bird would have hollow bones. Pegasi would probably have hollow bones. And shown with Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash when she broke her or badly damaged her wing, if your wing doesn't work or isn't big enough, you can't fly. So the wing is obviously really important to the flying. So why does magic matter? Because any animal that has wings can fly without magic, realistically. But in Generation 4 and in 5, when they lose magic, when Pegasi lose magic, they just can't fly anymore. Why? That makes no sense. Question mark, question mark. Also, why are unicorns so OP? Why are unicorns so fucking OP in Gen 4? Like in Gen 1 and stuff, they could do pretty simple magic tricks like teleportation and making little bubbles, like Fizzy makes bubbles out of her horn. But I don't know. I don't understand why. Literally, unicorns can fly if they want to. Like, they don't have to be a Pegasus to fly. They can do anything an Earth pony or a Pegasus can do. But they, why are they so overpowered? Like, even that little baby, the cake twins, the unicorn cake twin, can just fly as a baby, casually with their sibling. Like, hello? What the fuck? That doesn't, that's not fair. And what do Earth ponies do? I guess they're implied to have strength, like, oh, Earth ponies, without their strength, they won't be able to tend to the lands. But, like, how does magic have to do anything with strength? You don't need magic for strength. Earth ponies, which are literally just normal ponies minus the fancy colors, they don't need magic to be powerful. You know, ponies are just, and horses, ponies and horses, they just are there. And why isn't there any characters so far anyway, any Earth pony characters that get jealous of Pegasi and unicorns, more specifically unicorns? Because they can do so many things, and Earth ponies just can't do anything. In this magical world, they're just bound to the earth. That's unfair. But yeah, also in the Hearthwarming Eve play, it said that at some point in time, the ponies were, not friends. Like, the three races or breeds of ponies, Pegasi, unicorns, and earth ponies, they just didn't get along for for ages, so they weren't united. And what happened was these wind thingies came around and made storms because they fed off of fighting. But then in the Gen 5 movie, when the ponies aren't friends, the wind horse thingies, they don't appear. Instead, they just straight up lose their magic, which makes no sense in comparison to the Hearthwarming Eve, because the unicorns and the Pegasi, they can still fly and do magic and whatever. Yet when it happens again, they just can't. Like, it would have made sense if it was the crystals in the movie, if they put together the crystals and then they got their magic back. Because you could say, oh, well, in the Hearthwarming Eve, the crystals were still together, but they were fighting. But no, it was something to do with, oh, but the power of friendship. If our breeds aren't together, we will lose our magic. And it's like, well, no. No. No sense at all. And it seems like they've referenced the Hearthwarming Eve episode when making the movie, because they call the they call the Pegasi brutes, and they also call them brutes in the Hearthwarming Eve episode, and they call the Earth ponies stupid, and in the Hearthwarming Eve episode, they're also historically stereotyped to be stupid. So they saw it. Probably. They probably saw it. But they just didn't think, hey, why are they gonna lose their magic if it didn't happen before? Why are they gonna lose it now? Makes no sense. Did nobody think about that? Cause it's I don't know. And also, where is Twilight and the other alicorns? Aren't they like semi-immortal? Also, why is it called Ancient Equestria? Wouldn't Ancient Equestria be the first time that ponies were separated? Why is the semi-modern My Little Pony universe, where they have trains and they have fashion shows and they have cameras, why is that ancient? That makes absolutely no sense either. Because there was a lot of media recording happening back then. There were photos, there were newspapers, there were all of that, yet somehow none of it's been found and it's considered ancient, and there's no proof that unicorns, pegasi, and earth ponies were friends at some point. Except somehow nobody believes that because nobody has proof except for Sunny's dad for some reason. Who knows? But yeah, those are just some random thoughts I've been having that I wanted to get off my chest. I hope you like the music, not the music. There might be music, I don't know. But the drawing, speed paint in the background, that's by OC Koro. I made him when I was like 12 years old, but I wanted to make him a cat boy, so I did. Okay, bye.